And thank you for doing this. And just remind folks, if you have access to high school students, this started as a PD and recruitment program, thanks to Dr. Moose. And I think that right now, enrolled at Springfield College, we have 35 students that came to us through Youth in Motion, which is just amazing. And obviously that recruitment component of this can't happen this year. So next Wednesday is day of recruitment. And if anybody has access to high school students or other alums who have access to high school students, please get them to send in names of their prospective triangles next Wednesday. That would be awesome. And again, reminding everybody it's being recorded. And I think we're good. Anything else?
Tammy, can you just remind the participants what you want them to put in the chat so that we can...
Yes, thank you. In the chat, just put your full name, including, you know, if your birth name is different than your current last name, the name you attended Springfield College with, and your class years and your mailing address and your email address, please, in the chat would be great.
And welcome. My name is Dr. Stephen Grosha, and I have the honor to help to coordinate the Youth in Motion programming. And I'm going to show a quick video, and hopefully the video will bring you up to speed as to what Youth in Motion is all about. And please shout if you cannot see or hear the video. Can you see Springfield College in the emblem?
So my junior year of high school, I was introduced to this program at Springfield College called Youth in Motion Day. And when I came here, I didn't really know much of it, but as we took the bus ride over, my teachers explained that Youth in Motion Day was really to get an insight of what college is really about.
During the day, the students will have the opportunity to explore the ropes course with some of our students who are facilitators, so they'll be working on leadership development. And then in the afternoon, after we provide lunch for everyone, we'll have career exploration stations where they'll be able to explore different career paths that they may have heard about before and some that may be new to them. A few years ago, the college started an adventure education program, and we were thinking that not many high school students would be having a lot of knowledge about that area. So we wanted to expose.
Wrong pause button. So as Johnny Dennehy, who is now registering for his final semester at Springfield College in the physical education program, stated, it's really an opportunity for us to give back not only to our alums, but for the alums to try to give back to the college as well by trying to find Springfield College-like students who would fit really specifically to our department. So Kate, I'm not sure if you're currently, what grade you currently are working at and where you are at, but we've had, it's very centrally located around the college, but we've had people as far as Marshfield, Massachusetts come, and others that want to come either virtually now that we are all Zoom experts, or if you're just willing to come in, we'd love to have you, and for you to try to identify some Springfield College-like students. So that's the gist of the program. Today's session, I'm very excited and honored to have three awesome members of our department present to us. We have Evan Hermanson, who's from Framingham, Massachusetts. As you can see, he's a really recent grad of our undergraduate program, and he's currently a teaching fellow in the adapted PE program. He's seeking his master's in education for PE professional licensure in advanced pedagogy. He aspires to be a high school physical education teacher and varsity baseball coach. We also have Sam Weigel-Kulis, who's from Western Massachusetts. and she's currently finishing her master's in adapted PE. And then she will be starting her her doctoral program in teaching and administration. She aspires to work with students with disabilities in an athletic setting, and also aspires to be a coach in the Paralympics. And then we also have Professor Nicole Wassel. Professor Wassel is a 2007 graduate of Springfield College. She earned her master's degree at Texas Women's University and taught 9 years in APE before coming back to us in 2017. So we're thrilled to have these three folks presenting on collaborating and working with related service providers. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our presenters. Nicole, I think you're muted.
Sorry, I couldn't find the toolbar. Okay. So we'll start here. Sam, you want to take it away? You're up first, I think.
Yep, I can start us off. So I put a little quote up here because I thought it encompassed pretty much all of what we are trying to get at. And it says, no longer can a teacher in a classroom with diverse learners meet all of the educational, social, and emotional needs of our students. It takes collaboration among all professionals in a school system to educate all students. So that kind of spearheads what we're trying to hit at. As we are a team, we need to incorporate that into each and every student.
Awesome.
All right, so we wanted to start us off with like a little networking opportunity. We're all going to kind of share who we are, where we're at, and then what's one thing that you are looking forward to getting out of this training. And while you're doing so, put your email in the chat so that we can provide you with the materials for today's lesson.
As soon as we get the emails and whatnot, Kate, I know you're probably typing your email address in, but would you like to pop on and share like what you're hoping to get out of this today?
Sure. So I am relatively new to teaching PE. I also teach health. But the ASD program is at my home school. And so I had some adaptive PE classes. I had one adaptive PE class with K through 2, and then I had another 3 and 4 adaptive PE class. And it was absolutely my first time working with adaptive PE. And I'm just looking to kind of figure out how best to make sure that I'm doing what, the physical therapist has in mind for them, that I'm doing things that will help them move forward in their day-to-day activities and, eventually help them participate more in the general ed class. These are students that would come to the general ed class. I would have them like a day before their class, and I would kind of pre-teach them a bunch of the stuff we were going to do and figure out kind of how far I could take the lesson with them. And then they would come in with the full class and participate to the best of their ability.
Awesome. That sounds like an awesome setup to be able to have them ahead of time for pre-teach.
Yeah.
So if you, I don't know if you can, because I can't, here's my board. If you could share your email with us, that would be awesome. Because we're going to share a link with you for the next activity. Oh, got it right here. Perfect. Thank you. I'm gonna exit out of this for a minute and stop sharing for a moment. I'm gonna share out the next link. So you may have to check your email for this. It should be coming to you now. And Sam, do you want to go ahead and explain? You guys can check your email addresses. It should be coming to you now.
Yeah, I also threw it in the chat because you might
Perfect.
be able to use it through there. So the next activity we're going to do is a Jamboard. It's kind of a nice little virtual concept where there'll be different words up on the screen, kind of like a big whiteboard, and you'll be able to enter in photos and images and text about different words. So what we want to try to do is kind of find representation for all of the different service providers that usually work with students with disabilities and kind of are encompassing the IEP team. Okay, so as you can see, special educators, ABAs, PTOTs, we want to try to get images, text, different characteristics that they have throughout the roles, just to try to give a nice big overview, collect up some background knowledge, and then go from there. Okay, so you'll have the ability to add in anything. There's a toolbar on the side. So feel free to take a minute, look through. If you click on image, you can do a Google search and then just add it from there.
I'm gonna stop sharing so I don't give away secrets as I add to.
Okay, so everybody in here, feel free to participate. Was everybody able to edit on it? I just want to make sure.
Give it one more minute. Everybody's still working, and then we'll kind of come back together.
All right, about 30 seconds, put in your last thoughts, and then we're gonna go over it a little bit, see what we have come up with. Hi, buddy. All right, if everybody's ready, I think we can share it back up. Perfect. So we want to start and talk about OT. What does OT do? What are some characteristics that they have? If anybody is willing to share, please feel free to share one of their images up here. And maybe talk about it a little bit, why you picked it. Do I need a cold call?
When I think about OT, I always think about writing and about the proper pencil grip. And then I kind of bring that into PE, thinking about the right way to hold different pieces of equipment, like balls of different sizes. I've had kids that have tried to bowl with like the front of their hand coming first and, you know, having to switch their hand around. And I know that that's, you know, more of the growth motor skill, but just the way I always think about hands and fingers and grips when I think about OT.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Does anybody else have any images that they put up here that they want to talk about? I like that one a lot. The one with the little boy at the table. All right. Would you like to move on to our next one?
I was gonna say, I can say sensory bottles. This one up here, because OT does a lot with sensory, and we'll get into that later, but they do a lot with sensory integration. And this one over here, I don't know who put up the tire swing, but that's good for the vestibular system because they do a lot with that as well.
When I worked in physical education in a school district, that's one thing that I remember that the OT did, that had a setup like that in a small room adjacent to the gym. So on that picture, that looked like what I remember.
Yep. Yeah, they do a lot with that. And then down here, you could, which we'll get into again, is with the pegboards. That's not only is that grasping, but that's working on the visual, perceptual abilities and visual tracking. So good, cool.
Perfect.
PT. We got a lot of stuff. Anybody want to share
A
out?
lot of great images too.
Yeah. What do we think for PT? So quiet. How about the walker? Who put up the walker?
Sorry, I put that one up just because they're working on his locomotor skills, specifically walking, helping with his gait, using the walker.
Awesome. And that'll play into what we'll talk about with PE soon too. Awesome. How about, I love this down here. What's this? A couple things come to mind with this photo down here. Anybody?
I didn't put it. Dr. Grosha, was that one you?
No?
Oh, it was me. It reminds me of the FMS, one of the items on the FMS, what they're working on there and measuring and then practicing.
Yeah, awesome. So I look at this and I see strength as well as coordination. That's awesome. Then we have range of motion. That's good. This is a little stander. So working on standing. So stretching out legs in a different way. Awesome. How about this one? Ooh, I love this one.
So I can start off talking about this one. This is more of my wheelhouse currently as I teach special ed in Springfield. So special ed is including everybody, making sure everybody has access to the curriculum, to resources that they need. I put up this picture on the bottom with the fence, which is commonly seen. And since then, it was usually used as an equality versus equity standpoint of why students that get accommodations need accommodations when others don't. But I really like the add-on that they did when they put in a wire fence to show that if the wire fence is there, everybody can look through it regardless and build in the inclusion aspect of it. I also put in the anatomy of a special ed teacher and the different traits that they do going around it. So working with other education, speaking, communicating effectively with counterparts to make sure all students get services they need, and then just providing students with tools to be successful.
Good. So for this one, I can say I put in social groups because they work on social. They not only do they work on pronunciation and speaking and things like that, but they do social groups as well and a variety of other things. Does anybody else want to add anything in there in the Jamboard?
Yeah, I put the picture at the top. I just put it because she's helping the student with pronunciation.
Nice. Awesome. And then we'll look at here for applied behavioral analysis. Anybody want to add in?
I put in the picture with a little tree on the bottom, and it talks about the different domains and what goes into actually doing the tests and performing the tests. But I really appreciated the ABC chart that somebody put up as well.
Yep, so that's data collection and how to collect data if you're seeing behaviors within your classroom. This is done by an ABA, but it can also be done by yourself, or you could be asked to fill one out. We can talk about that a little bit. And then some of the other pictures are just different strategies on motivation for behavior. And then teacher of visually impaired. So this one, I guess I'll go, this is it's a TV used for people to be able to reflect what they're working on. They can put it under the screen and it makes it larger for them to be able to see. The monocular in the middle is to help for a kiddo to be able to see the board or blow something up within the classroom to see it appropriately. And then would say it looks like people put Braille reading in here. Awesome. They are helping access the curriculum based on teaching them the correct tools and strategies for learning and helping them with their work. They are, and they teach them how to read Braille, things like that. If we go here for orientation mobility, I love this. So anybody want to talk about these? Because I know I didn't put any of these pictures up. Anybody want to share?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
I put,
go ahead. All right, I guess I'll go. I put the two on the left. So I put the top one where the man is kind of directing and showing the students the different obstacles that might he encounter on the way. But I also put the bottom one who wasn't necessarily part of the orientation mobility, but it's very useful and important if you lay out your classroom ahead of time, either with a diagram or what have you. So the student can kind of like feel the diagram first to kind of know that that is the obstacles in which he might encounter on a larger scale.
Awesome. And you can do this with a gymnasium too, by putting your boundaries down and making 3D cones and things like that, so that a student can feel what's happening within the classroom. Awesome. And then I think that was our last one, I believe, because I think 8 is blank. So great job, you guys, sharing throughout. I think our next piece is going to be, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. We're going to move towards, I'm going to go ahead and kind of define, like give you the actual definition of each of the roles. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about, give you a little bit more detail as to what you guys were saying. So physical therapy helps to access their environment, thus accessing education, because obviously if they can't get up and down the stairs and into the classrooms and sit at the desks appropriately, they can't access education. They also traveling throughout the school, maintaining posture, participation in activities, stairs, bathroom, access and use in the cafeteria. OT is helps with recess, self-help skills, reduces barriers, assistive technology to help access the curriculum, plans interventions that help the students access the curriculum. And they're mostly upper body and fine motor. So they do actually, OT is actually closer to PE than PT. Many people think that physical therapy is closer, but it's actually not. Speech and language does speaking, thinking, reading, writing, and learning, and they do a lot with social. So there's a lot of things surrounding speech as well. They can come in and help with writing assignments and things like that, not just speech. Applied behavioral analysis is the assesses behavior and helps to create a behavior intervention plan to increase appropriate behavior and consults with a team. TVI, or teacher of visually impaired, is understanding and interpreting students with visual impairments. They provide ways for the student to access the curriculum and teach the students how to use the tools to help the access. And then orientation mobility is the environmental and spatial concepts, and they have them regain positioning within the environment. And they teach the students to use their remaining vision to help provide tech and low-tech aids surrounding movement. And then your special ed teacher is the adapted the general ed curriculum to meet within. So based on those definitions, and we can stay in one group for this, what do we think these providers could provide for us as far as information for helping within PE? What do we think?
I think for me, you know, having different perspectives helps me understand the whole child.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have to agree with her on that. I'm a big advocate for teaching the whole student so that they can be a well-rounded individual and meet the needs of all. It goes back to our spirit, mind, and body, where they have to be a whole and all.
Yep. So does anybody else want to add in before I get a little bit more specific?
I'm brought back to the components of health, having your physical health, your social health, and your mental and emotional health, and how important it is to feel, for everyone to feel included in the activities that are happening. So to work with teachers that are better skilled at certain abilities and disabilities to make sure that everyone's feeling included and able to participate.
Fantastic. Yep. So specifically, if we're looking at specific people and specific goals and orienting and things like that. So physical therapy, if you have a student that comes in that might be in a wheelchair, they can provide you quite a bit of information surrounding strength and ability to move. They can also tell you whether the student is able to be taken out of their chair or not. And definitely both either PT or OT. As a PE teacher, you want to make sure that you have them train you how to take them in and out of the chairs. Never, ever agree to move a student out of a chair if you haven't been trained. Always ask. They can also give you different stretches and things like that that the student may need. They can tell you how long a student can stand or how long a student can sit down for. And that kind of a thing, and help you with those types of activities. They can also tell you if the student has a walker or a gait trainer. And you definitely, if a student has a walker or a gait trainer, you really want to advocate to have that come down to PE with them so that they can be put into it to gives them more mobility use and ability to walk around and run, like possibly even move faster with their students, may not too, depending on their ability level to use it. So that's a great question to ask for PT. They'll also give you do's and don'ts on things that a student may not be able to do or shouldn't do. Occupational therapy is awesome for looking at grasping. And if you want to do rackets or some kind of a sport like that, they'll help you come up with a way for the student to be able to hold it. Or they'll give you some access ideas on how to hold on other objects that they could hold or things of that nature. They're also amazing because I've noticed a lot of students that come down, especially with my autism students who sometimes have major sensory overload issues when they come into PE. They are amazing with integrating ways of helping to, regulate that sensory stuff. So they may come down and watch, and they could suggest something like a weighted vest, or tell you to do some more things surrounding heavy work with them, like lifting heavy things based on their body percentage weight. They can also say maybe a compression vest would be useful during that time frame, which kind of gives them a little squeeze, like they're getting a hug. They might have noise canceling headphones to take away some of the noise. Textures, if a student has trouble with textures, they'll be able to tell you that. They also track a lot with visual tracking, so they'll be able to tell you if a student is tracking appropriately to be able to actually catch a ball and what their movement ability is with that. So OT is awesome with a lot of those things surrounding sensory and upper body strength. And they can also train on moving students in and out of wheelchairs, as well as putting them into their gait trainers and things like that. Speech. What do we think speech? Anybody have any ideas on how speech can help?
Speech can kind of go for both expressive and receptive. If you're giving directions and providing cognitive objectives for the student to be able to reach, you have to make sure that they can, one, understand what you're doing, and also two, make sure that the safety risk of it, because if a student doesn't understand certain cues, then it might be a safety risk going forward, and you'd have to address it or figure out a way in which to teach down to the student at that level so that he can then, or she could provide a safe environment for everybody.
Awesome, yeah. So receptive and expressive language, great. Number of directions that they can follow. So 1 step, 2 step, which is along the receptive language piece. They are also amazing with talking about social and what needs to be put into place for them to be able to socialize within PE. If you have students that have speech devices, a lot of times in PE, I noticed, at least in the district that I worked in, they never brought their speech devices with them, which kind of stinks because it takes away their ability to socialize. I get it in some respects. It's hardware and they're afraid of it breaking because there's things flying and everything like that. And it's cumbersome because you can't have it in your hands all the time because you need your hands free. But that initial socialization would be awesome. So asking them to help you create a page for PE is great so that they have like vocabulary and things where they could talk and you can really direct them on how to speak so you can see those things. For speech, applied behavioral analysis, you may or may not get too much of an opportunity to work with. They typically are a consult. But if you're having issues with behavior within PE that the special ed teacher cannot initially provide help with, Applied behavior analysis is an amazing person to go to because they'll come in, take data, give you some suggestions. They can also train you on different ways of teaching, like discrete trialing and things of that nature. So there's a variety of things that they can work with you on as well. And they're a great resource to the kiddos because they typically know trigger points and things like that. So they're a good discussion piece. TVIs are awesome. They're going to be able to tell you what the kid is able to see and not able to see. They can tell you the possibility of what contrasting equipment colors might be best, size of equipment. They'll give you anything you're handing out. They're going to talk to you about what font size to use so that the student can read and access that equipment. If they are fully blind, the one thing that I loved about the TVI that I had, she was able to go through different places and actually get specific equipment for free. So she was able to get me beeper balls for free. She was able to get me a noise box that made targets audible. She can give you a variety, he or she, I'm saying she because I worked with a she, I apologize, he or she can give you a variety of devices that can help within the PE classroom. They're awesome in that respect. And then orientation mobility, again, they're typically going to come in maybe once or twice, or they come in after school because they usually work within the community itself to help the student be independent fully. But if they're in the process of training, going through the actual school, they teach students how to count steps. They teach students how to be aware with their canes. They might even help you get, or you could create yourself like a 3D image of your gym so that the student can feel the boundary lines, can feel what the gym looks like. Because I think that's one of the biggest things that we take for granted is we walk into a gymnasium and we automatically know what's happening for the day because we can see it. We can see what's set up. We can see what's going on. So they can help you with getting some like 3D ideas or ways to create a 3D gymnasium that you could pre-teach. So the student can kind of get a feel for things like that. They'll also come in and possibly teach the student how to access the locker room and then go from the locker room into the gymnasium, as well as going from the gymnasium to like a water fountain or outside, that kind of a thing, if need be, to give as much independence as possible. And then you have the special education teacher, and they are all around a jack of all trades, and they provide a little bit of everything. So if you start with them, they can typically answer quite a bit of your questions. They are also there to help you modify any tests and quizzes you may have. They can help you present any materials that you need. They can help you get pictures that you might need for the gymnasium for picture schedules. They have a wealth of knowledge, especially surrounding the kiddo and what that student needs. So the special ed teachers, absolutely another amazing resource. So that's just something to think about in reaching out to these people to help, because people, especially PE teachers, either don't realize that they're there because they bounce around to so many schools, or they hide in their small area off to the side, and it's rare that you get a chance to actually see them. And they may pop in, like PT might pop in once a month just to see how physical education is going because they want to know something surrounding a certain goal. So it's good to know that you actually have, and they love, typically most of the people that I've spoken with or worked with, they do love to collaborate and they like to hear from getting assistance. So that's awesome. So that's kind of a little bit surrounding those areas and that kind of a thing. Sam, do you want to take it away with what the IEP looks like? And then we can, and how to find that information.
Did you want to have a movement break first, or did we?
Yeah, we forgot. Sorry, I'm moving along and I forgot about our movement breaks.
That's okay. Did you want to pull it back up?
Sure, I will do that right now. So all of our movement breaks are a good example of ways that you can incorporate things that go with either PT, OT, or speech and language and things like that. And we can kind of go over how that works. So we're going to go deal or no deal. Oh, sorry, I pulled up the slide. And
you can click on the picture.
Okay.
All right, so this is a fun little activity, and you will, Kate, you'll definitely be able to use this if you so choose to in your class. I think it's kind of fun. I make my kids do it quite often. So it's deal or no deal, and you really just have to have note cards and put activities on it.
Or actually what we can do too right now, I will share the actual website that we pulled this off of to create if you want, because it's got other options in there as well. So.
That would be perfect. So this is something you can use. It's just a set of cards and workouts. So it's deal or no deal. So deal means that we do the workout as a class. So like the class decides. And then no deal means that we can skip that exercise. However, the next one we have to do double of. So it can be a little tricky and you kind of have to pick your battles. My kids really like to try to say no deal and then they don't realize what's coming next and then they don't like it very much, but they have to do it because it's part of the deal.
Expectation is to get up and move.
Yeah, so I have to move my table. Apologize. Give me 1 second.
Stand up.
All right, so our first one is 10 squats. As a class, do we want to accept that deal or do we want no deal? Dr. Moosberger said we're going to accept it. All right, I'll take it. So everybody, 10 squats. Is anybody counting? I wasn't counting.
I'm at 10.
All right.
I did on my own.
All right. If you flip it, you can also put pictures on. So if you click on it, it'll show a picture of the diagram. We did it, so we can move to the next one. 20 crossing toe touches. So if you click on it.
We're going for it? Okay.
Do we want it? Are we dealing? We're dealing?
I got a thumbs up from Kate.
Oh, Kate gave us a thumbs up. Good. Evan, you're going to be telling us the next one, whether it's a deal or no deal.
Before we move on, and while you guys are still going with this, awesome exercises to do along with PT. PT is going to love you for the fact that you have them practicing crossing the midline at the moment with this one. So this particular movement break would be one that physical therapy would definitely love to collaborate and work with you on to provide exercises that particular students might need in your classroom.
All right, Evan, yours is the next one. Deal or no deal?
I'm gonna go no deal.
No deal, that means we do double. What is next?
Jumping jacks.
40 jumping jacks. I really hope Dr. Grosh was doing this with us. Nah, he might get a phone call home.
Okay, do we want to do one more or do we want to move back to IEPs?
We'll do one more. We need something else. We want arm circles?
Yeah,
All right, that's a good one.
we'll end on arm circles. Right.
Reset up.
Awesome. So thank you guys. That was one of our little movement breaks. It's a great PT. PT exercises, and you can do anything with anything like deal or no deal with this.